He walked in while I was watching my first corn video with friends. Now he's moved on without a word. What I am about to share is going to be controversial, and I will be judged for it. Trust me as the story moves forward. I am sure that most of you would sympathize with me and my situation. I agree that maybe I could have handled my personal life a bit differently, but what happened to me was just bad karma. I know I did wrong to my partner, but that did not mean that I would have to lose my face like this and be humiliated forever for my mistakes. I am Emily, female 37, married to Nick, male 41, for 8 years. We both decided that we would be dinks, double income, no kids, in case someone is curious. We both had decent jobs which helped us have a comfortable lifestyle and be able to afford about 2 to 3 long vacations in a year. Life was ideal with all the usual ups and downs that you have in a marriage. The usual arguments on priorities, managing time for bonding, meeting friends and family, stuff like that. There was nothing unusual apart from the fact that we had grown distant and lived more like roommates than a couple. You know how marriage becomes a part of life after the honeymoon phase is over. It was the same with us. We did sometimes try and make efforts to make our relationship a bit spicy. Sometimes it worked, and sometimes it backfired. Within a few years of being married, I found out that Nick was the jealous type. He would never be happy when I shared news about my promotion or early bonus. I never saw him be genuinely happy with my success. He would always joke about how I had to work less because of my beauty, and had it easy at work. It was as if he was belittling my efforts and hard work because he was not the one being promoted. I tried to ignore most of his comments and focused on my work. It became so bad that if I ever suggested an expensive place for our vacation, he would comment that I was trying to show off my money. After I had my second promotion, he became more spiteful and questioned how I was able to get another promotion within 3 years when he was still struggling to even be decent at his job. I told him that it was all skills and being able to seize the right opportunity, unlike him who kept waiting for someone to hand it over to him. I took him to one of my office parties to show him how much I was valued so that he would know my worth and stop being so judgmental about my work. Everyone I introduced to him spoke so highly of me and my work. My boss was more than generous with a string of praises that Nick was a bit suspicious about our bond. I told him that my boss was always like this when he liked someone. I meant someone's work. I quickly corrected myself. He just shrugged and said that maybe I just had good colleagues and he was unlucky in that department. I smiled and said maybe and sighed that he did not push it more. I could see a change in his behavior lately. After the party, he had stopped dissing me and my hard work, which was something new. He told me sorry for his behavior earlier and said that he was going to make up for it. I kissed him and said that as long as he did not misunderstand me, it was all good. He said that I could ask him anything that I wanted and he would give it to me as a token of being sorry. I told him that I would like to go on a girls' trip with my friends. I had been pushing it for a long time because we promised to travel together, and I kept giving excuses to my friends. He said that I could go on the trip and let my friends know that I would be available. I was glad that finally I could go out with my friends, guilt-free. I told my friends about her who were super excited that I would be coming along. We were finally on a girls' trip, which we had been planning for almost 3 months now. I wanted it to be perfect and the most memorable thing because we were all married and knew that we could not go on trips like this as often as we would want to. We made a list of things that we wanted to do, which were mostly fantasies that we had while growing up. V promised this trip was going to be a life changer for most of us. We made a pact that whatever happens on this trip is going to stay between us, and we would take all the secrets to our graves. The things that each one of us had were somewhere between wild and crazy, and just like how we were in school. We decided that we're going to dedicate each day to one of our wishes or fantasies and make sure to enjoy it to the fullest. It was finally my turn, and I had made a wish over one of the New Year parties that it would be so cool to feature in a porn video, at least once in life, just for thrills. I guess mine was the wildest fantasy of us all. My friends looked more excited than I was for it. 2 of my friends said, "We actually know a guy who films amateur couples for private custom videos." I thought they were messing around, but they weren't. He wasn't some big adult actor, just a gym trainer who casually did paid modeling and private shoots. He didn't know us, didn't know our names, and we paid him in cash. He made us sign a consent form so that it couldn't be used online legally. That actually made me feel safer. We hired a cheap local videographer who was okay at his job. We made sure that we paid in cash so that it was untraceable. We also made sure to shoot the video at a dingy hotel and not the one we were staying at so that no one would recognize us or trace things back to us. I always wanted to do one of those videos where a massage turns out into something way too intimate, ending up in a full-blown sex session. The stage was set and we started filming. It was all going very well until the model decided to take matters into his own hands. He started making out for real and forgot that we were just supposed to act. He was touching me at places that I could not resist. I started responding to his advances, and before we knew it, we were naked and having sex. I knew that we were being filmed, but I was so aroused that I just let go completely and started enjoying the sex. I could see that even the guy shooting the video had a boner once we were done. After we wrapped up, I guess the videographer told him to just make one copy and send it to me after it was edited. I called my friends over once and I got the finalized video of the porn film that we shot during the holiday. Nick was out for work and was not supposed to return till late at night. This was the perfect opportunity for us to watch the video in peace and maybe take notes to shoot another one. We were discussing how I went all in, even after knowing the fact that this was going to be captured on camera. All of us were making fun of me for donning fantasy into reality in such a dramatic way. We were just teasing each other and laughing about it. I was glad to do something out of the ordinary which was going to be memorable for my entire life. Nick walked in right at the moment when I was supposed to come in the video. I don't know how long he had been standing there and watching us in the screen. We were all excited, encouraging, and applauding how good I looked with the guy that we hired. The room went silent once we realized that Nick might have known what we had been up to all along. The plan to keep all of the secret was now faltering. Nick glared at all of us angrily and left without a word. The door slammed so hard that we all knew that he had seen or heard things that he was not supposed to. My friends left as soon as Nick went into the bedroom and shut the door. I rushed in to tell him that this was not what it seemed like. I told him to hear me out before he could misunderstand what he saw. I explained to him that it was all fake. We just shot a video for fun, and that did not mean anything to me. He looked at me and asked me if I would get naked in front of any guy and shoot a video of it just for fun. Is that my idea of fun? I told him that he was getting it all wrong. I lied to him that if he looked at it carefully, he would know that we were just acting, and there was nothing that was happening. I knew for sure that he would never have the guts to look at something like this. No man would want to look at his wife making out with someone else with so much interest unless he was a pervert. He said that even if it was just acting, I should have let him know. I told him that I did not think much of it. I knew he would be upset, and I think that was the reason why I did not tell him. He said that I hit such a big thing that it was difficult for him to believe what I was saying was true. I asked him to sleep on it and not take any drastic decisions in anger. I hoped he would calm down and understand that it was just a New Year wish that I just fulfilled and let it go. I told him that I was sure that he also must have had such stupid wishes that he wanted to fulfill, and I was not going to judge him for it. He said that even if he did have such outrageous fantasies, he would stop himself from doing something stupid because he knew that he was married and should not cross the line. I then became defensive and told him about the time when he went to a strip club with his guy friends. Did I not give him a free pass then? He laughed and said that he had already asked me if I had a problem, and he even FaceTimed me from there to let me know that he was not going to cross the line. He came home early so that I don't get all anxious about what he must have been doing. On the other hand, I not only went on a girls' trip with my friends, but shot a porn video and made sure to hide all the evidence. He said that trust works both ways, and he can clearly see who was the one who had been acting all shady in this relationship. He even added that if I wanted to have a porn video of myself so bad, I should have spoken to him first. He would have tried to understand, and maybe even support me for being honest about my wishes, as if I would have called him and told him that I was going to act, but now it's happening for real, so can I go ahead and fuck this sexy-looking model? He would have let it go if he was aware of it as a one-time thing and doing it might make me happy, though he would still not understand the need for it. Since I hid it and made sure that he did not find out, he said that whatever I say becomes invalid. It would be hard for him to believe anything that I said, and there was no point in living with a person who he does not trust. By this point, I had had enough of his unnecessary argument. I had been very patient with him in trying to explain the situation. I could not keep myself calm anymore, and I started yelling at him, telling him that he's fighting with me for being more successful than him. I told him that it was not my fault that men found me attractive and hit on me all the time. I added that he had friends because I was attractive. He was such a bore that nobody even wanted to be friends with him, but just because they would be able to hang out with me, the guys acted as if they were interested in being friends with him. I told him that there was no way he could compete with me because I had a better job, looked attractive, and could hook up with anyone I wanted, unlike him who had to plead people to be friends with him. His friends only came up to him when they were in trouble, unlike mine who were always willing to party and have fun. After a long and nasty argument, he said that he could not live with someone who valued him so little. All I had to do was be apologetic and say sorry for my actions, but I was just creating drama according to him. He said that if he knew that I would insult and belittle him like this, and think so low of him, he would never have wasted all these years living with me. I just yelled at him that now that he knows what I think of him, he could clear out any misunderstandings that he has in his head. I told him that he had no right to tell me what to do and what not to do. He was not the one who would set up limits about how far I can go and how much I should stop myself from doing the things that I like. We only agreed to marry because we believed that we could thrive without having kids and live our lives. He was stopping me from doing exactly what we had decided that we would do when we got married. It was not my fault that he changed his priorities after all these years of marriage. He laughed and said that it was not about priorities. I was just making it way worse by speaking all kinds of nonsense. He agreed that we didn't want to live our lives by having the burden of raising kids, but that did not mean that we were going to sleep with whoever we liked. He said that he didn't want kids because he wanted to enjoy life and grow old with me, but guess I had different things in mind. He did sometimes felt like asking me to change my mind about having kids, but it would be a betrayal to what we agreed, and that's why he never brought it up. He believed that maybe someday I would also have a change of heart and want to have kids, so he was waiting for that, instead of pressurizing me into changing my mind. He said that he was a fool to have thought that I would be thinking about him, just like he did when we were away, but clearly he was the only one who was in love, and I was just with him because of the convenience. He packed his bags and left saying that he was not going to live in a house where he was not valued and respected. I did not even try to stop him because I felt that he would just come back when he looked at the entire situation once he was calm. He was just overreacting for a video which did not even mean anything to me. After a week, I went to work, and everybody started staring at me, whispering among themselves. I knew I was hot and always attracted attention, but that was a little more than the usual attention that I got. Even the girls were staring at me, which was a bit unusual. I did not know that I still had it in me to not only attract men, but also women towards my beauty. I went straight to my boss, who I knew would give me permission to do anything because he was so smitten by me. I knew that I needed to give him a little more, just to keep him hooked on me and get my work done. His face beamed just like every day, but today it looked as if he was a little extra excited about seeing me. He asked me if I was willing to do it with me as well if he paid me more. I was confused and thought that he was still drunk from last night talking nonsense, but what he was seeing on his phone left me completely speechless. I asked him where he got this video from. It was supposed to be a private video just for me and my friends. How the hell did my boss get access to it? He laughed and said that I was the one who uploaded it late at night on the company's official drive folder. I was sure that I was celebrating drinking with my friends that my husband had left the house on his own. I passed out, so there was no way that I would have done this, or was I too drunk to realize what I was doing? I seriously did not remember if I did it or not. I called the guy who shot and edited my video and asked him why he had a copy of it when I specifically asked him to delete any backups after sending it to me. He said that he always made sure to have the backups because most of his clients would accidentally have their videos deleted and ask him for a copy again. I was angry at him for not following instructions, even after making sure that I pay him more for the no backup clause. I then asked him to now delete everything that he had on me and asked if he sold it to someone else. First, he said no, and then remembered that my husband wanted a copy of it because he loved it so much. He even told him that he would recommend him to his friends and get him more clients, so he did not even ask any further questions before sending him the entire video. The videographer had put a tiny watermark in the corner of the video. I didn't even notice it. That's how Nick contacted him. It was barely visible, just a username and phone number. I now knew for sure how my video ended up on my company's drive. Nick must have logged in and uploaded it there, as he knew my credentials, which I shared for emergencies. I just had to be more careful and have changed them instead of celebrating with my friends. I knew that this was completely my fault for being careless. There was not much I could do, so I pleaded with my boss if he would be willing to remove it from the folder and delete it forever, since now there were multiple copies of the same videos, and I didn't have access to delete those. I told him that it was a mistake, and that I might have been drunk when I did it. He smiled and asked me what was in it for him if I agreed to it. I told him that I would do anything that he wanted me to if he did make the video disappear. He asked me to spend the night with him and do the same things that I did in the video, and after that he would make sure that it was gone. I agreed, as I had no choice, but I also knew that my boss would not last that long in bed, so I had nothing to worry about. After we were done, I asked my boss if he would delete the video in front of me so that I could be at ease. I was not that dumb to let a sex video of mine be circulating in the corporate world so that I would have to prove myself with my talent and not body all the time. He went in the back and deleted every trace of my porn video, which relieved me that maybe now I could be at ease and not have every man looking for sleeping with me, even if they did not know me. I went into the office the next day, feeling as if it was a new day with new beginnings. I did not want the past to ruin my reputation and my career anymore. I was feeling on top of the world because I was free from both my husband and the video that was suppressing my potential. I could see a sudden shift in everyone who was staring at me, with much more wild expressions than before. I did not understand what the problem was, as now everything was gone and I was back to being a regular employee. I finally asked one of my colleagues why people had suddenly started whispering and looking away when I walked in. After some awkward silence and me almost begging him to just spit it out, he said quietly, "People know about you, and sir." I honestly felt something drop in my stomach. I kept asking, "Know what? What do they think they know?" He didn't want to say it, but he eventually told me someone from the office saw me and my boss entering a hotel late at night. Apparently he was seen leaving later alone, and after that people just talked. They joined the dots. He deleted my video. I went to a hotel with him. Nobody saw anything, but suddenly everyone knew everything. Then somehow people started saying things like, she slept with him to erase her video, and she traded one mistake for another. Some said they heard voice notes. Some claimed they saw messages. Nobody had anything real. It was just stories now. And the worst part, some of it was true. Not exactly the way they imagined, but still true. I felt like running out of the office, but instead, I walked straight into his cabin and asked him, "Are you seriously just letting people believe I did this?" He just looked at me so calmly and said, "Emily, I haven't confirmed anything. I haven't denied anything either." I told him it was ruining my reputation. He just said, "I kept my promise. I deleted the video. I didn't promise to manage what people say." He wasn't aggressive or rude. He was just indifferent. He wasn't trying to humiliate me. He just didn't care. And somehow, that hurt more. I left without saying anything else. I sat in my car for a while and then just started driving. No destination. I didn't even know if I felt angry, ashamed, guilty, or just tired. Probably all of it at once. I ended up at some cafe staring at my coffee instead of drinking it. That's when I got the HR email asking me to attend a disciplinary review meeting regarding workplace conduct and reputation. I didn't even react at first. It felt like all the fight in me was gone. I wanted to defend myself, but I realized I didn't even know what I'd be defending. The video, the hotel, my marriage, my stupidity, my loneliness. The HR meeting wasn't heated or dramatic like I imagined. No yelling, no moral lectures, just cold, calm professionalism. They told me that what had happened, or what people believed had happened, was affecting the office environment, my credibility, and the company's professional image. They didn't ask if I actually slept with him. They didn't ask for proof. They didn't ask me to explain. They just said, "Perception shapes reality, especially in corporate reputation." It was almost funny how everything was so casual. They offered me an option to resign voluntarily to maintain dignity, which was their polite way of saying, "Leave before we fire you." I went home and drank all the alcohol and kept replaying the events over the past month. Where did everything go wrong? Was it because of being adamant on nothing being wrong with filming a porn video? Was it the fact that I hid it from Nick? Was it because I tried to defend myself instead of being sorry for my actions? Was it because of being too arrogant and confident and not taking my relationship seriously? I did not know how and what went so horribly wrong that I ended up this way. I was so out of it that I slept on the floor. I woke up hungover and for a second panicked that I was late for work, then remembered that I was kicked out yesterday. There was nowhere that I had to be, so I just went back to sleep. I got up in the evening and ate whatever was there in the fridge. I sat down and looked at my Instagram feed, aimlessly scrolling through pictures, looking at people's fake lives. I then remembered that maybe I could call my friends, and they might help me feel better. All my friends came up with excuses of them being busy with life and could not give me company. I asked them if they were willing to spend a few days at my place since I was living alone now. Surprisingly, I do not receive a reply from even a single friend of mine. I was left red for 2 weeks, after which just one of my friends replied that they were busy. I got the hint that everyone was trying to maintain their distance from me, especially after the video, which was supposed to be private, was made public. I wanted to try and understand the situation, but it was difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that my friends abandoned me because they were the ones who were the most excited for me to shoot the video. I could see how when times are difficult, everyone leaves and you are all alone to face your own problems. Since I had a lot of free time, I decided to start writing this long post which would help me keep busy. I wanted something to distract me from my loneliness and thinking that I was the one who ruined everything. But the more I kept writing, I kept realizing that it was all my fault. I needed better friends who could help me make better decisions. I wanted my friends to tell me exactly if I was doing something wrong and not just agree to everything that I wanted to do. On the marriage front, I admit that I was a bit too harsh on Nick. In my desperate attempt to defend myself, I might have said things that I did not mean. I'm sure that he was hurt by listening to what I thought about him, which was not even true. It was not like I thought very little of him or I valued him less. It was just that in the process of defending myself, I made him look inferior to me. The next day, I decided that I was going to talk to Nick and ask for his forgiveness and work out our differences. As I was going through the mail, I saw divorce papers enclosed in an envelope, which had been lying in the mail for almost a week. I never thought I would be getting a divorce in that way, too. I tried calling Nick so that we could fix it. I knew that all I had to do was sincerely apologize to him. I was confident that once he knew that what I said was just an agony, he would understand and forgive me. As soon as he picked up the call, he did not even ask me how I was doing, and just said that he had already signed the papers and was expecting me to send them back with my signatures. Before I could even say anything, he just disconnected, and in that moment, I knew that it was all over. I kept staring at the signed divorce papers from Nick, contemplating if I should talk to him one more time and sort things out. I put myself in his shoes. I knew that if I was in his place, I would never have forgiven him for something like this. I knew that he had every right to divorce me. I just was too late in realizing what I was putting at stake when I decided to shoot that porn video. None of my friends tried to stop me or tell me that it was a bad idea. In hindsight, I guess they knew the consequences, but chose not to let me know because they also wanted to watch the show and have fun. I could come up with all kinds of excuses, but the fact was I had to take responsibility and take the blame. I was the one who went ahead with the plan without thinking about Nick or what it would do to my reputation. So this is where we are after 2 months. I know it was a long and boring post, but I had to keep myself busy. This was the only thing that was keeping me going. Thank you all so much for taking the time and interest in my story. I know that a lot of you will have a lot of things to say about my actions or the things that happened to me. I am all yours for any suggestions that you guys have in turning this thing around and trying to win back Nick. Update. I saw Nick 6 months after our divorce. He was with a beautiful-looking woman. They were smiling and looked so much in love. I could see his eyes sparkle, showing how much he loved her, just like they did when we first met. I tried my best to sneak out of there without anyone noticing me. I went home and stood in front of a mirror looking at myself. Nick was already moving on with someone who looked like she loved him, whereas me, on the other hand, was struggling to get the video off the internet. I kept thinking back to the saying, once you put something on the internet, it haunts you for the rest of your life. My video was the biggest example of it, as however I tried to get rid of it, it would always resurface and embarrass me at the wrong moments. I would get a job and start settling in it, and very soon someone would find that video and start blackmailing me or sharing it with everyone. I had to change several jobs just because of one stupid video that I made. I feel like that was the biggest mistake of my life. I wake up every day and regret that one action, which led to a complete change in my life. Every day I think that I should have given it more thought before doing something that was going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Every time someone saw that video, they would assume that I was willing to sleep with them and make passes at me. I was now getting tired of explaining and even letting people know that I was not that easy to sleep with. It was hard for people to understand that I was not here to sleep with them. They would laugh and say that if I did not want to sleep with them, I would not have put up that video. I tried to come up with solutions on how to get that video to completely vanish from my life. It was not like I could report it to the police because it was not filmed without consent. My only hope is that someone from this platform could suggest some ideas on how to get it off the internet. Whoever has been following my story knows very well how much I regret this one decision. I hope that one of you would be kind enough to help me get out of this mess. I am tired of finding new employment every few months because of this stupid video that would not leave me alone. I'm tired of sleeping with my bosses just to keep my job after being blackmailed because of this video. I keep changing jobs, but every job the same story keeps repeating itself. Someone gets their hands on this video and would blackmail me by asking me to sleep with them. I either have to quit or give in to them to keep my job. Thank you all so much for being so kind to me. I hope that I will find a solution to my problems from one of you guys. I'm grateful for you all to be a part of my journey so far. I will keep you posted on how things go in my life.